I'm Dr. Jordin Wiggins, and this is the Pleasure Principles podcast. Join me on this journey where sex, science, and sensuality meet. Let's change the conversation around sex and pleasure together.
Welcome to the Pleasure Principles podcast. Today we are answering listener questions, your questions about sex, pleasure, intimacy, things you've always wanted to know, but maybe been too afraid to ask. Or maybe you're getting conflicting Google search results about finding reliable, responsible sex ed information, women's health information can be a minefield, and many women do not feel comfortable talking to their healthcare providers about their issues when it comes to sex and intimacy. Or they have tried and it has gone horribly, horribly wrong. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen my story. We do a game in some of my online events, and it's called Shit My Doctor Said. And one of my clients, one of my Pleasure Principles graduates, in fact, her doctor told her to shave her vagina. It would make her sexier, and that would improve the intimacy. So just, I am not saying that is all healthcare providers. However, yikes, so many layers of wrong there. Over 80% of women feel uncomfortable speaking to their healthcare providers about sexual health, and examples like that make you understand why. We will be doing the Q&A again on our podcast, so if I don't get to your question, stay tuned for the next installment. And if you have questions you'd like answered, send me a DM on Instagram at Dr. Jordin Wiggins. I would love to help answer your questions. And if you have them, then other people have them too. We're going to talk about period sex today, sex with split family dynamics, blended families, not being honest with your partner. So much good stuff. So let's jump right in. Question. I have never been honest with my husband about my sexual past. What do I do? You may be surprised to hear that this is something that comes up a lot. Women who feel that they have to keep part of themselves, them sexual selves, hidden for fear of being judged or shamed by the person that they love. Now, I do think this is changing a little bit with younger generations, which is amazing, but it's still a really big double standard. Last week, my coaching client told me that she has lied to her husband about her number of sexual partners, hidden that she's had a threesome, and all of these sexual experience for the last 20 years. And he still doesn't know the truth, and she feels a ton of shame around it. What I want to say, I totally understand where this comes from. Society has taught us to feel ashamed for our bodies, our natural development, appropriate stages for sexual exploration, and just shamed us for our sexuality in general. And this can feel even heavier, even more risky to share if you have a conservative, small town, religious background that taught you that you were wrong and moral for experiencing natural desires that every single person faces, or most people have sexual desire. It's not all that surprising to hear that shame is, in the basement. If you listen to our previous podcast. If you haven't, make sure you go back and listen to the previous episode. But shame is in our basement, controlling parts of our life, our happiness, our relationship, years and years later. So what do we do about it? First, we have to forgive ourselves. There is not a single thing that we have done in the past that means we deserve to continue to beat ourselves up for. I want you to remember that there were 2 or multiple people in these sexual encounters. And for some reason, the women that I work with seem to take 100% of the guilt and shame, like it was their fault, or they were some, Eve with the poisonous apple, or friends turned on them and like shamed them for being sexual. However, those same friends were also being sexual, and the men in the situation were participating, but also not getting blamed for anything. So we need to start with forgiveness and not fully owning the weight of that situation, because there's a lot of really, really gross conditioning. We need to instead know that no matter how much you experimented, how many people you slept with, how whatever, if you got an STI, also check out my podcasts on my podcasts and articles on STIs. Regardless of what happened, you are still worthy, beautiful, smart, kind, amazing, worthy of love and intimacy. So we need to first offer ourselves the grace and forgiveness that you would give to someone else who was hurting and punishing themselves needlessly for an event that they have not been able to get over years and years ago. This can take work. Forgiving ourselves is an entire module in the feminine mentorship. It's a skill. Forgiveness is a skill. A lot of us just like to bury things and move on or try and make up for them. When we can learn to forgive, it is so freeing. Sometimes I like mantras like, I did the best that I could with the knowledge that I had at the time. And that was the thing. You were not given proper sexual health education. You were not taught about consent. You were not taught about pleasure. So no one knew what they were doing, and everyone was giving me shame scripts. So I did my best. Everyone in this situation was doing their best, and I'm human. Something like that can start to help you reframe. And next, I would want to understand, why do you feel shame in telling your partner? Is it because you have a feeling that it won't be received well? Do they have the same negative conditioning that you do? It's probably their conditioning about gender roles and sexuality that they would be responsible for working through. And that is not your job to fix it for them. It's perfectly reasonable to choose to have a conversation with your partner if it feels important to you and you think that they are evolved enough to hold the space that you need without shame and blame. Obviously, when we are sharing something vulnerably, we can never control how it is received, but that's also not our job. It's also perfectly reasonable to work on forgiving yourself and move on. No one needs to know your history but you. So if it also is something that you want to work through your feelings around the whole thing and then just move on, because if it's been years and it is not affecting your present day, sometimes I like to ask my clients, like, will this matter in 5 years? If you still think that you feel like you need to share it down the road or it's going to be a big burden, then we can look at, how do you script these conversations and everything. But there's an immense amount of work that needs to be done on you, your shame, your sexual health, education. So you're going into that conversation aligned, feeling worthy of love, regardless of your past. And anyone that would make you feel like crap about something like that has not done the work, the depth of work on themselves. Next question. I think I have feminine burnout. Your posts feel like you're writing them about me, but I am stuck, scared, and I cannot think about adding in anything new. What should I do? This is what's so funny about women with burnout is they are so burnt out. The thought of adding one more thing to their to-do list makes them feel like they're going to crack. And another interesting thing that happens is if they decide to make the leap and work with me, then there's some sort of catastrophe that happens. A sick family member, they need a new roof on their house or something. So then they have to decide, is this really what I want? Do I get to choose me and put me above everything else? Probably for the first time in my life. So it's always an interesting process that got you here listening to this podcast, and for the women that end up working with me. If my posts are resonating with you, there is a good chance that you are burnt out, and maybe you have been for so long that nervous system state feels like you're normal. And any changes, any relaxing, any space, any peace almost doesn't feel normal. If you feel like, if I slow down, it's all going to fall apart, that's a sign. Or if I add one more thing, it's all going to fall apart, that you're on this teeter-totter, this delicate balancing act. Very good sign that you are burnt out, and too burnt out to make a good decision for yourself. The thing about successful, independent, high-achieving women I work with is that they aren't used to asking for help. The kind of help they are comfortable with is reading, researching, working harder, looking for answers, implementing plans they find online. And they are not good with leaps of faith. They want the evidence, they want the proof. But that is what the work is. Trusting yourself to make a decision for you and only you that will in the end up positively impacting everyone in your life. Because when you become different, when you become who you really want to be, or we lead you back to who you truly are, then you're modeling the correct things for your kids, not overwork, self-sacrifice, not feeling guilty for caring for yourself. Trusting yourself to make the decision and doing it a little scared is how you should feel. But superwoman conditioning, the thing that got you burnt out in the first place, holds you back because it tells you that you should be sure, that you should feel ready. And my coach has hammered this into me, and it's not really an issue that I have because I can tolerate quite a bit of risk, but it is something that I see over and over with most superwomen. Ready is not a feeling. You don't feel ready. Ready is a decision. You don't feel ready. Ready is a decision, because ready is not a feeling. And I said that again so you can get it through your head, because you are probably waiting on so many things, and life is passing you by. The days are passing, the years are passing. You don't have the love you want. You don't have the money you want. You don't have the time, the space, the friendships, because you're not ready to make the big steps, the things that are actually going to make the impact. So if you are here on the first rung of the ladder and we take one step up, it's going to feel, maybe a little uncomfortable. There's some new information, but hey, I feel really good. I'm a perfectionist. I like control. So I feel like I can manage this decision. I, quote, feel ready to do it. Well, when we're going to take a massive leap or a big jump from the first rung to the 7th rung, that is going to feel a whole lot scarier. There's so much more uncertainty. But what's the impact? What's the outcome going to be when you make a much bigger leap, take a much bolder stand, make a much bigger decision? You're going to feel less ready. You're never going to feel good, never going to feel like I am 100% on this decision. Check that box. So our superwoman is always, always, always going to be questioning it, going to be questioning us doing the big thing, making the career move, leaving the relationship, hiring the 5-figure coach. We're going to be scared because we don't feel worthy and we are so burnt out. We are frozen. We are numb. So if you're waiting to be perfect, if you are waiting for the exact right time to make a decision or do something about it, for all the stars to align when your family doesn't need something, or your husband's new motorcycle or golf membership is not taking precedence over you. Like, if we're waiting for there to not be other things, that will never happen. We need to fix the patterns that are keeping you tired, depressed, anxious, isolated, or you will be waiting the rest of your life for the perfect opportunity to feel ready. This is about admitting for probably the first time in your life that you don't know what the next steps are and that you do need help, because the way you've always done it is not working anymore. We are pushed constantly to be busier, work harder, do more, achieve more, crush it at work, be the best mom, wife, friend, etc. And what we need to do is trust play, trust pleasure, trust joy, trust that maybe you don't know what the next right step is, but you know that what you have done up until this point is not working, and that is enough. That is your ready. So trust the calling, trust your gut, have faith that the path will reveal itself once you choose to make a step that feels uncomfortable moving forward. And it is so hard for superwomen to do uncomfortable things. That's why they wait until they are overqualified to ask for the promotion or get the new job. We see this it just shows up. The superwoman conditioning shows up in so many ways. So break the pattern. You have to do it for you. No one will do it for you.
You might not even know what you're missing, but if you've been searching for answers for why you're so successful in your career, but lacking in other areas, why your libido's low, why you feel so burnt out, overworked, why you're snappy and irritated all the time, why you can't lose the weight you want to lose, why you're exhausted but you can't sleep at night, you take care and run the show at work and at home, but you can't figure out how to take care of yourself the way you want to, you are in the right place. Maybe your relationship is on the brink of divorce, or you're missing the days of connection and intimacy that you once had. If you long for the spark and connection and you want to feel like yourself again, that radiant, turned on woman, then I have the solution for you. Work with me, Dr. Jordin Wiggins, naturopathic doctor, sex educator, and feminine burnout coach, in my executive one-on-one coaching program to learn how to receive pleasure for better sex, better health, and more wealth. I promise you, they are all connected. I work with women to teach them how to receive pleasure and to open to all of the possibilities that this life has to offer you in health, wealth, and love, because you deserve success across the board in your life. Finally, find the secret that was missing from all the work that you've done before and understand why you are so successful at work, but lack the spark and connection you long for in your relationships. When you learn how to receive pleasure and learn what was holding you back, you unlock possibilities in every area of your life. Suddenly, you can receive compliments, trust, acceptance, friendships, money, you know how to take better care of yourself, and you receive the praise, acknowledgement, help, and support that you've always wanted, but didn't know how to get. Everything comes when you learn how to receive and adopt a pleasure mindset as a way of being. My executive coaching program gives you exclusive access to me in person or via video chat, and my years of experience of working with thousands of women, Eastern medicine theories, and practical everyday ways to apply the work to see real growth in your life and relationships. Get the support you need to repair your relationships, start having mind-blowing sex, and open to the possibilities of what great pleasure means to you. Revolutionize your relationships and build the abundant future that you, your relationships, and your loved ones deserve. Click the link in the show notes or visit my page on Instagram at Dr. Jordin Wiggins to learn more about my coaching packages.
All right, period sex. This is when I am in the mood, but my husband is disgusted by this. What should I do? Navigating the differences in libido can be challenging for many couples, whether it's how you like to be touched, how you like to be kissed, how much, how often. The journey of exploration is the piece that we were never taught how to do together. We weren't even taught that we should explore our own desires and our own turn-ons. We were taught sex is to make babies, period. Don't have it until you're married. Sex is shameful. But we were never taught about pleasure. I love that you know your desires and your body and have identified a time when your libido is higher. That being said, we don't want to force our partners to do anything that they aren't into. Regardless if it's rooted in patriarchal beliefs and outdated knowledge, consent is still consent. So here's how I would approach this one. My suggestion first is education. How much does your husband actually know about periods? How would he feel if he knew how common it was for couples to have sex on their period? Is he still believing outdated information from when he was a teenager? Would updating his knowledge base by giving him a book or an article to read? We will link my period sex article in the show notes, but something like listening to a podcast together that helps him to realize that maybe he isn't grossed out by the period sex itself, but his lack of knowledge and what he has been taught about it. I would hope that he would be open-minded to at least be willing to listen or read something without any pressure to move forward beyond that. Once the education has taken place, there could be some conversation like, is it the mess that's concerning? Like, what is the specific hang-up? And there are so many great period sex products that have been created these days. If period sex is still a no-go for him, what about introducing other forms of intimacy during your period? You can cuddle while you pleasure yourself. You can introduce sex toys. What about condoms? Is there a compromise that works for both of you? If it's still a no, and there's, after the education, after discussing other alternatives where you both feel fulfilled and are a hell yes in this situation, maybe you aren't compatible in this aspect of your sex life. So only you can decide what works for you, and practicing self-love and self-care, knowing what you desire, knowing how to ask for it is so, so important in intimate relationships. And my guess is the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So if you are taking less than you want, like you have this desire which is not being fulfilled, I would ask you to look, what are the other areas in your relationship that you are also unfulfilled? Next question. I'm a stepmom and it's impacting everything from my relationship to my sex life and everything in between. What do I do? Split family dynamics are super tricky to navigate. You are not only dealing with the hangups, stressors of one family, you're doing it for multiple people. Oftentimes, bio mom has something to say about the intimacy in your relationship. Don't let the kids sleep in your bed. Don't kiss in front of them. Don't let them hear you having sex. So that's what I mean. Just if it's just the two of you, like there's just not that added layer to navigate. So first, I want to normalize it. I am a stepmother, and let me tell you, 90% of the advice you get is not only wrong, but it's damaging. And the only people you should ask are other stepmothers who you would trade places with. So bio mom, your friends that aren't stepmothers, your parents, unless they have navigated this themselves, the information that they have is probably not going to be very useful at all. So it's like sex education. It's the blind. It's the blind leading the blind. Talk to a stepmom who's killing it, and she will gladly help you. All right. Lots of blended families find their first few years difficult to navigate. And the added stress impacts our stress response. So cut yourself and your partner some slack if you are feeling a little less in the mood during some stressful, turbulent times. Most of our brains are wired that when we are in our stress response, when we are running from a tiger, we also aren't aroused. It's a survival mechanism. So this is no one's fault. It doesn't mean that you don't love and desire each other. I recommend planning your alone time as a couple. You might want sex to be intimate and spontaneous, but sometimes in our busy and chaotic lives, especially when you are coordinating calendars for two families, is not realistic. So planned connection time is better than no connection time. And here's my tip. If we can plan the connection time, but incorporate some spontaneity, some novelty, it's going to help reignite that spark. So you could get in bed with no agenda. Get in bed naked, hold each other, quiet that stress response, see what happens. And if you are both so exhausted that you fall asleep, that is what it is. Maybe you will wake up and have amazing morning sex, or go for a drive with no destination. See where you end up. Two more things on this. Boundaries. Boundaries are so important. You can set boundaries around anything that works for you. When and how much you communicate with exes. Space that is just for you in your house or in your calendar when you need a break. There's probably a few things that are going on that really aren't working for you. So it's important to get super clear on those and set some boundaries. And when you feel respected and supported, that break, that thing that's stopping you from feeling desire, will be lifted, and you should start to feel the spark come back a bit. Rituals are also super important. Creating rituals that allow you to connect back to your partner after an exchange day or after a particularly turbulent time. And this is important if you have stepkids or not, but something that can ground you both in your relationship despite the chaos that these dynamics try and put on you. So keep the questions coming in. I love to answer them. For more information on improving your sex life, building better intimacy, and connecting in your relationships, let's work together. I work with women to rebuild the foundation for better sex, from desires to communication to sex and relationships, all through finding your feminine strength. Apply by visiting www.thepleasurecollective.com/coaching.
Have a great week, everybody.
If you like what you heard in this episode, leave me a rating. Your support helps me get discovered by more women like you. Together, we can change the conversation around women's sexual health and pleasure for you, your partners, and generations to come.